You think you understand the words a woman speaks, but are you certain you grasp their true meaning? Schopenhauer, the philosopher unafraid of disturbing illusions, claimed that behind every phrase, behind every smile, lies a hidden intention, a meaning turned upside down, a truth that dares not reveal itself. What if what you hear is never what is truly meant? In the silence between words, in that subtle gap between what is said and what is desired, emerges a psychology that few dare to confront. Today, we will step into those shadow spaces Schopenhauer exposed with chilling clarity. But before we begin, tell me, do you believe words reveal or conceal? Write your answer in the comments, subscribe now, and stay until the end, because a disturbing truth is waiting for you. Arthur Schopenhauer was not merely a philosopher of pessimism. As history often paints him, he was a surgeon of the human soul, cutting through illusions with painful precision. Born in the early 19th century, he lived in an age intoxicated with progress. Yet he chose to focus not on triumphs, but on suffering, desire, and deception. His reflections on women were not meant as gentle observations, but as blunt revelations about human nature itself. He believed that what women say and what they mean are rarely aligned, not because of malice, but because of the deeper forces of survival, seduction, and power that operate beneath language. Over time, his words were dismissed, softened, or branded as scandalous. Yet behind the scandal lies an uncomfortable mirror, forcing us to confront the hidden mechanics of attraction, manipulation, and desire that still rule our lives today. When Schopenhauer spoke about women, he was not merely describing individuals. He was exposing a dynamic that flows through human relationships, a structure of desire, survival, an illusion that touches every man and every woman, whether they admit it or not. He argued that language, when it comes from a woman's lips, cannot be taken at face value. Not because women lie more than men, but because what is spoken is rarely identical to what is intended. Words become masks, gentle veils covering instincts that run far deeper than conscious thought. And this, Schopenhauer insisted, is not only about women, it is about the human condition itself. Think about it. How often do you say something you don't fully mean? You tell someone you're fine when you're not. You express interest when you feel indifferent. You hide resentment beneath politeness. This is not dishonesty in the ordinary sense. It is survival. Language evolved not to reveal the truth, but to serve life, to gain advantages, to avoid conflict, to attract, to manipulate, to soothe. Schopenhauer recognized that women, being tied more directly to the rhythms of survival and reproduction, became masters of this indirect speech. For him, what a woman says is a surface ripple on the ocean of her deeper intentions. Here lies a disturbing insight. Communication is not a bridge of transparency. It is a battlefield of symbols, a negotiation hidden inside every word. When the woman says, "I'm not angry," it may conceal anger waiting to be acknowledged. When she says, "Do whatever you want," it may mean the opposite. The meaning is not in the words, but in the silence, the tone, the context, the unspoken demand behind them. Schopenhauer revealed that to listen only to words is to remain blind. To truly understand, one must learn to read the currents beneath, the invisible forces shaping the spoken. But why did he insist so strongly on this? Because he saw desire, sexual desire, reproductive desire as the central engine of human existence. For Schopenhauer, life itself is driven by what he called the will to life, a blind, irrational force that uses us to perpetuate itself. Women, as carriers of reproduction, were in his eyes direct instruments of this will. Their words, their gestures, even their tenderness were never merely individual choices, but strategies of nature itself. When the woman flatters, when she withdraws, when she entices, Schopenhauer believed she is channeling the will to life, that ancient, indifferent force pushing humanity forward, indifferent to truth or justice. This is where his reflections become both unsettling and strangely liberating. Unsettling because they strip away the romantic ideal of pure sincerity. We want to believe that love is transparent, that words mean what they say, Schopenhauer confronts us with the possibility that much of what we call love is a carefully staged illusion and instinct disguised as poetry. But it is also liberating, because by seeing this clearly, we begin to understand why so many relationships collapse under misunderstandings. It is not because one side is bad or deceptive, but because both are playing roles in a drama older than themselves, written by forces they do not control. Consider a common scene. A woman tells a man, "I don't care about money, I only care about love." On the surface, it sounds noble, but beneath, there may be an unconscious evaluation. Can this man provide stability? Can he offer protection, a future for possible children? Schopenhauer would argue that the words, "I don't care about money," conceal their opposite, because the will to live is calculating, even when the conscious mind is not. This does not make the woman a liar. It makes her a participant in nature's grand strategy, where truth is secondary to survival. If this makes you uncomfortable, it should, because it forces you to see language not as truth, but as camouflage. And if you look honestly, you will see that men do the same, though in different forms. A man says, "I'll always be there for you," but often, beneath it, is a pull of desire, the impulse to conquer, to possess. Just as women use words to veil instinct, men use promises to secure desire. Neither is completely honest. Both are serving the will. So, when Schopenhauer writes that women rarely mean what they say, he is not simply insulting them. He is unveiling a structure. Human beings, male and female, rarely mean exactly what they say, because speech is an instrument, not a mirror. And yet, women, he insisted, embody this more clearly, because their role in the cycle of life makes their communication subtler, layered, indirect. They do not deceive by accident. They deceive because life itself requires them to. Ask yourself, how many times have you been misled not by lies, but by half-truths? How many times have you realized too late that someone's words were only fragments of what they truly wanted? And how many times have you yourself spoken words that hit your deepest motives? Schopenhauer pushes us to confront this hypocrisy at the heart of existence. We demand truth, yet we survive through illusion. Now, pause for a moment and reflect. Imagine a society where everyone spoke with brutal honesty, no masks, no hidden meanings, no veils. Would relationships even survive? If a woman said exactly what she calculated, "I need a man who will give me security for my children," how would love sound? If a man said directly, "I desire you because my instincts command me," would romance still exist? Perhaps the illusions are necessary, perhaps even beautiful, because they soften the harsh edges of instinct. Yet, Schopenhauer warns, to mistake the illusion for the truth is to live in blindness. This brings us to the core of his revelation. Love, courtship, promises, even declarations of fidelity, all of these are masks worn by the will to life. We dress up instinct in poetry, we disguise biological necessity in romantic language. And women, according to Schopenhauer, are the most skillful weavers of this veil, because their survival depends more directly on how they navigate the terrain of desire. What they say may be sweet, but beneath the sweetness lies strategy. And here lies the paradox. Women are not guilty for this, nor are men. They are instruments of something larger, something impersonal, something blind and unstoppable. The will to life does not care for honesty, only for continuation. It does not care if you suffer, if you deceive, if you are deceived. It only cares that the game goes on. Schopenhauer therefore invites us not to hate, but to see that words are only symbols floating on an ocean of instinct, to see that what is said is never the whole truth, to see that beneath every declaration of love lies a hand of nature, pushing, guiding, manipulating without our consent. When you see this, you begin to wake up from the dream. You stop expecting language to deliver truth, and you start listening to the silence beneath. And this is where the lesson becomes practical. When you stop clinging to words, when you stop demanding absolute honesty from speech, you begin to observe patterns, actions, subtleties. You begin to see the real language, not spoken, but enacted. Desire reveals itself not in declarations, but in behaviors, in sacrifices, in choices made when no one is watching. If you understand this, you can begin to protect yourself from illusion, not by rejecting love, but by seeing love for what it is, a mask that covers instinct, but also makes life bearable. Think of the greatest tragedies in literature, from Othello's jealousy to Anna Karenina's passion. At their root lies not simple betrayal, but the collision between words and instincts, between what is said and what is meant. Lovers destroy each other, not because they do not speak, but because they mistake words for truth. Schopenhauer forces us to open our eyes. Truth is never in the words. Truth hides beneath them, in silence, in instinct, in the timeless game of life itself. This, then, is the first great unveiling. To listen to women or to anyone is to accept that words are masks. The more tender the words, the more carefully crafted the mask may be. The challenge is not to tear the mask away in anger, but to see through it with calm eyes. To know that you are hearing one thing and witnessing another. To hold both together, the beauty of the illusion and the clarity of the truths beneath it. This is the beginning of wisdom. To love without being blinded. To listen without being deceived. If in the first unveiling, Schopenhauer showed us that words often conceal more than they reveal, in the second unveiling, he forces us to confront the deeper paradox. We cannot live without these illusions, and yet these same illusions often destroy us. To understand this, we must descend into the labyrinth of desire, ego, and self-deception, where what we long for is rarely what will satisfy us, and what we chase is often what enslaves us. Schopenhauer believed that the essence of life is suffering because desire never ceases. To desire is to lack is to suffer. And once desire is fulfilled, the emptiness returns and a new longing takes its place. Women, he argued, embody this cycle with particular intensity, not because they choose it, but because nature has written it into their being. Their words, their gestures, their charm are often strategies to secure attention, affection, or commitment, yet beneath, they too are captives of the same restless will that drives men. The difference, Schopenhauer insisted, lies in method. Men seek conquest directly. Women seek indirectly. Men seek announce, women suggest. Men declare, women imply. Thus, their words often cloak what they most deeply intend. This indirectness, however, is not weakness. It is power. Power woven into language. Power born of ambiguity. A man may believe he is choosing freely, but often he is being guided, subtly, by words that do not command but invite, that do not demand but entice. When a woman says, "Do as you wish," the man hears freedom, yet hidden inside is the test, the challenge. Will you choose in a way that shows me I matter? In this, Schopenhauer saw not dishonesty, but a deeper truth. Words become instruments of influence, not of accuracy. But here lies the paradox. While women's speech often disguises instinctual aims, men's illusions disguise themselves as reason. Men cloak their desires in grand declarations. I will love you forever. You are my destiny. Without you, I cannot live. These are not lies in the sense of cold calculation. They are lies we tell ourselves. In the fire of desire, a man believes these words. Yet once the fire fades, the truth emerges. The forever was a moment. The destiny was chemistry. The without you I cannot live was an illusion projected by the will to life. In this way, both men and women are caught in the same prison. Words are masks, not only to deceive others, but to deceive ourselves. Schopenhauer invites us to look with brutal honesty. The ego thrives on illusions, because without them, life would appear unbearable. Imagine stripping away all romance, all flattery, all the masks of tenderness. What remains? A blind, endless cycle of reproduction, of desire seeking satisfaction and never finding rest. To face this directly is terrifying. Thus, nature equips us with illusions. The illusion of eternal love, the illusion of sincerity, the illusion that words capture truth. We cling to them because without them, the abyss yawns too close. And yet, illusions carry danger. For while they protect us from despair, they also bind us to suffering. When a man mistakes a woman's words for exact truth, he builds expectations on sand. He believes "I don't care about money" means money will never matter. He believes "I only need you" means no future desire will intrude. And when reality breaks these illusions, bitterness and betrayal arise. Likewise, when a woman believes a man's promises are eternal, when she takes his intoxicated declarations as permanent truth, she too becomes wounded by the collapse of words that were never built to last. Here is where Schopenhauer is ruthless. He tells us that to avoid suffering, we must strip words of their illusions, not in cruelty, but in clarity. When you hear a promise, do not hear eternity. Hear desire speaking in the present. When you hear indifference, do not hear truth. Hear strategy, hear fear, hear testing. Words reveal less than gestures, less than patterns of behavior. Look at what is done, not at what is said. That is where the truth lives. But Schopenhauer does not stop there. He presses deeper into the question of why this tension between words and meaning torments us so much. The answer, he says, lies in the ego. The ego craves certainty. The ego longs to believe that when someone says "I love you," it means forever, it means stability, it means security. The ego cannot bear ambiguity. Yet, life, especially in relationships, is ambiguity itself. To demand absolute clarity from words is to demand the impossible. To live without clarity is to live in anxiety. And so we oscillate, torn between false security and restless doubt. The modern world only amplifies this torment. In Schopenhauer's time, illusions were woven into cultural rituals, marriage, social expectation, family duty. Today, in a world where choice is infinite, the ambiguity of words becomes sharper. Dating apps, fleeting encounters, shifting loyalties all multiply the masks. Let's see where this goes. May mean sincerity, or convenience, or avoidance. I'm not ready for a relationship may mean fear, or strategy, or simply disinterest. The words flow detached, while the reality beneath them remains hidden. And yet, if you look closely, nothing has changed since Schopenhauer's time. The forms shift, but the essence remains. We say one thing, we mean another, because our instincts are older than language. We may dress them in new phrases, but the will to life whispers the same commands it has whispered for millennia. Attract, secure, reproduce, survive. So, what do we do with this knowledge? Schopenhauer's own solution was bleak. He advised withdrawal, detachment, asceticism. If life is suffering and desire is endless, then the only escape is renunciation, to refuse the game. But here, we must pause. His philosophy is powerful, but perhaps incomplete. For while it is true that words deceive, it is also true that illusions can create meaning, even beauty. A promise may not last forever, but in the moment it is spoken, it can shape a bond, inspire a sacrifice, generate tenderness that is real, even if temporary. Illusions can hurt, but they can also sustain us. The deeper wisdom, then, may not be to reject illusions entirely, but to see them for what they are. Masks we wear, stories we tell, dreams we project. To love without illusion may be impossible, but to love while knowing it is illusion that is a higher form of consciousness. It is the difference between being blind and being lucid. The blind man crashes when the illusion shatters, the lucid man accepts it as part of the dance. Schopenhauer, in his darker moments, saw women's words as traps, as deceptions to ensnare men. But another way to view it is this: women, like men, are compelled by forces beyond their control. Their words are not malicious lies, but survival strategies shaped by millennia of necessity. To condemn them is to condemn life itself. The true wisdom lies not in blame, but in recognition. Recognition that when someone says one thing and means another, they are not betraying you. They are enacting the same dance you, too, perform in your own way. And so the paradox comes full circle. Words are masks, but masks are necessary. Illusions are lies, but lies sustain life. To demand total truth is to destroy the very fabric of relationship. To accept total illusion is to drown in suffering. The challenge is balance. To see the illusion yet not despise it. To recognize the mask yet still embrace the dance. Now consider this. How different would your relationships be if you stopped demanding that words carry absolute truth? What if you listen to words as music, as symbols of momentary states, rather than eternal promises? What if, instead of clinging to sentences, you observed the deeper current, the actions, the choices, the sacrifices? You would no longer be enslaved by disappointment because you would expect ambiguity. You would no longer be blinded by charm because you would see the instinct behind it. You would love, but with clarity. You would trust, but with eyes open. This, perhaps, is the transformation Schopenhauer offered, even if he did not frame it as hope. He wanted us to see through the veil, to pierce the illusion, to understand that beneath words lies the restless will. And if you can hold that awareness not in bitterness, but in calm clarity, then you begin to live not as a victim of deception, but as a witness of truth. For the truth is not flattering, it is not romantic, it is hard, cold, and at times unbearable, yet it is also freeing. Because when you accept that words deceive, you stop demanding perfection from them. You stop expecting life to be other than it is. You stop resenting women, or men, or love itself, and you begin to see all of it as a vast, tragic, beautiful dance, where illusions sustain, wounds awaken, and truth whispers quietly beneath.